we worked hard for it over so many years, and to finally get that India call, I think it was really special to me. And more than everything, I think I was really excited to, just wear the India jersey. Yeah, that's when I first met Jemmy, and I think she was pretty excited to see like a 9-year-old, 10-year-old part of this. And more than everything, I think she's been like an elder sister. She's always, mentored me, guided me. I think even when I got the India call up, I think she had called me, she had spoken to me saying, enjoy this feeling. I think the most important thing that they teach in NICE is being fearless. I think that's one thing that really stood out. Having, an aggressive approach towards the game. They believe attack is the best way of defense. Arjun sir always says that I'm fine even if you get out, but the intent has to be right. If it's an execution problem, we can always work about it, but as long as the intent is right, he is fine with it. Test is the real cricket, and I feel I would love to represent India.
Crickbuka presents Stump Mic, Voices from the Pitch.
Today we have with us an India Under-19 representative who has risen through the ranks on the back of consistent run scoring and match winning performances, both at the club and domestic level. And joining us today is a young prodigy of Indian women's cricket. Welcome, Uma Kashvi. Alright Kashvi, welcome to Crickbuka Stump Mic. This is Walk the Talk, and I'm very excited to speak to you today, especially because of the things that you've achieved at this age. You are 15 right now? And you started playing very early, 8?
8.
Right? Which was like 2009, 10 of sorts?
No, 2000.
Sorry,
17.
2017, 18. Sorry, I'm an old guy. Just skip that. So you started in 2017, 18.
Yeah.
7-8 years of cricket.
Yeah.
How did it start? Like, what was inspiration? Did someone push you? You picked it up on your own? What was the whole story?
So, like, I was this very sporty kid and I used to sit at home idle. And me and my uncle started, we just started playing cricket, like just at home with a bat and ball. And from there, I actually picked interest for the sport. And I actually asked my uncle and parents if I can actually pursue the sport and learn it. And that's when they made me join an academy, and that's how it all started.
Yes, sir. So your uncle was pivotal sort of in that whole decision making of let's put Kashvi.
Yeah, I think he supported me through that a lot.
Right.
And he also used to play cricket, so he was always from that background.
So did you see him playing also that sort of inspired you? Or was cricket around you all the time? Was that something?
Yeah, cricket was always around the family because they used to watch cricket. Like, my uncle, every time there was a match, they used to sit, the projector used to be there in our house, they used to watch till night, 12 o'clock.
So like full blockbuster level cricket watching was happening.
Yeah, they were big fans of cricket.
And were there any sort of role models or such men, women that you have seen and you felt like, I want to play, I want to be like this person?
No role models as such, but when I just picked up cricket, I think I used to look up to Mithali Raj a lot.
All right.
It was a late years of a career, I think, when I just started. So early days, I think I looked up to her a lot. And then later, when I actually started watching women's cricket properly, I admire Elise Perry a lot. The way she can win games either with the bat or ball. Given an opportunity, she's always the standout performer for Australia. So that's one thing I really liked about her. And recently, last 2-3 years, Hayley Matthews and Ashley Garner, I really, look up to them, like, want to be kind of like them, because kind of same proficiency, off spinners and top order, middle order batters.
Okay. So you have a liking for all-rounder is what I sort of see, like the kind of people that you're looking into are like high-performing all-rounders.
Yeah.
So you look at yourself as a high-performing all-rounder as well?
Yeah, like a match winner who can, turn the game with bat, ball, and given a chance even in the field.
In the field. And I love that because I think I've seen a lot of your fielding, which has been highlighted, and I don't see a lot of that happening, especially in the women's game. And I think it's a need of the hour that we need people who focus on fielding from the beginning. How did that happen? Like, how did it focus on fielding happen? I understand you see someone batting and you're like, okay, I want to bat, I want to bowl. Fielding is not really highlighted much, but how did you pick it up as a skill, as an interest point?
I think the starting 1-2 years of my, cricketing journey, I think my coach really emphasized a lot about fielding. Like, I used to go to matches, not bat, not bowl, just field 50 overs and come back. So that's how, I actually developed my fielding. But later on, I think the most important thing about fielding, what I believe, is you got to enjoy it. If
Yeah.
you think of it as a burden, you're never going
Of
to
course.
do well. Yeah. So for me, and
Because
I think,
we have international people who say that they don't enjoy fielding, will not take names. But I mean, people say that they don't enjoy fielding
Yeah.
and they say that they like batting and bowling.
Bowling.
And yeah.
so mostly it's about enjoying it and wanting to do well. Like if I don't contribute with the bat, I can always save 20 runs on the field and say I'm going to make up for it.
Exactly.
And-
That's a given, right? You can actually control how much you save in the field. You
Yeah.
cannot actually say
save.
today that I'm going to score a 50.
Yeah.
You can say I'll score I'll save
And
20.
Batting, bowling depends about luck. Luck factor is
Of
always
course,
there, but
of
fielding
course.
is only about practice and perfection.
Practice, focus, perfection, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
And one thing what Arjun sir showed me about fielding was that don't expect the ball, start wanting the ball to come to you. And I think that's changed a lot. When you want the ball to come to you, even if it's like not a catch, you end up trying for it and going for it.
Exactly. So you
Yeah.
sort of attract the ball. And I think I've seen that across good fielders, they want the ball to come to
Yeah.
them, right? They're not trying to like hide in the field
Yeah.
somewhere, right? They want the ball to come to them. And that's
Yeah.
that's
So
exactly
like even
what
if
it
you
is.
drop a catch, most of them start thinking, today is not my day. I don't want to field in hot spots.
Yeah.
But I think even if you drop catch, you got to be like, I want to get one more catch so I can make it up.
Exactly.
So I
That's
think-
what we want.
Yeah.
So, Cash, when did you join NICE and how did that happen? And majorly, what change did it bring to your cricket?
So I joined NICE, I think 2.5 years back.
Okay.
And I think it's shaped my game and career in a very good way and a very different way. And I think the most important thing that they teach in NICE is being fearless. I think that's one thing that's really stood out. And having, an aggressive approach towards the game. I don't think Kiran sir or Arjun sir believe in, being defensive. They believe attack is the best way of defense. So, never step down, always look to be on top of the opponent. And personally, batting wise or bowling wise, I used to be a player who used to play, I used to anchor the innings, I used to play with, 80, 100 strike rate, play the full game. And, I used to get score a lot of runs, but the strike rate, was never, 150, 200.
Got it.
But I think after joining NICE, I started, playing more aggressively, taking more risks, and probably I end up scoring, 25 ball 50 instead of a 50 ball 50.
So, one thing is to say that I was an anchor and now I'm
Hmm.
like a hard hitter kind of mentality. But how did that transpire in terms of technique, skills, mindset? How did that change happen?
I
Or
think,
what did you do to go from this anchor to hard hitter?
I think lot of practice, but before practice, I've got to accept the fact that I want to become this. Like I have to get convinced with the, the motto or the mindset, which I was, and then working towards it was pretty easy with having Arjun sir and Kiran sir by my side, and lot of tweaks, small adjustments in my batting, probably with my back lift, stance, and more importantly than all the technique, I think it's understanding the game situation. And playing the field is one of the most important things, because we all feel it's all about hitting sixes, but you can also be 150 strike rate with only boundaries. Playing the field is one important thing, and I think in NICE that more than having nets, we always have
Open.
open nets and match simulations. So I think that's really helpful, because it's more like a match and we can actually try out things. And Arjun sir never loses an opportunity to put pressure on us.
Right.
Like, yeah, even if it's 6 balls, 6 runs, I'm telling you, we'll be under pressure batting if Arjun sir's there.
So that's the same
Yeah.
thing he does with Shreyanka as well, what he said.
Yeah.
So in terms of you said backlift, etc., have you changed as a batter technically a lot, or is it the same? It's more like, okay, now I see the field better, as you are saying, or I understand the situation more. What is it?
So not much of technique. I think they were pretty fine with my technique and happy about it. But it was more about situations, understanding that, and trying to be more, more fearless and taking more risks.
Got it.
Because I always would take the safer option for here, but here it's more like take that risk, and if it works out, you'll be like a match winner. You can even chase 50 in 5 overs. But if you take the safer option, it's not that.
So it's
possible.
a mindset, like a big mindset shift that you had once you came.
Yeah, most.
And you felt like it has opened up a lot, like this mindset shift.
Yeah, and I think I also developed a lot of new shots, Before I used to play only in the V, now, probably late cut, scooping.
Reverse sweep, I see you have a reverse sweep.
Yeah, reverse, switch. I think more options that we've learned. And I think we never, when we play matches, I think Arjun sir always says that I'm fine even if you get out, but the intent has to be right. if it's an execution problem, we can always work about it. But if the intent is right, as long as the intent is right, he's fine with it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Arjun talked about this philosophy last time that, I do not want to punish them if they have gotten out. But if their intention is not right about
Yeah.
what they want
To
to
do.
do, then I'll punch them.
Yeah.
That's the word he used exactly, punch.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So, great.
And
Uh,
I think bowling also.
yeah.
Yeah. So I worked a lot with Arjun sir about my bowling, So I used to be consistent with my areas, but not a great turner of the ball, and I should not have so many variations. But I think after joining NICE, I've gotten Arjun sir's helped me a lot with my bowling also, and I've become this bowler who can bowl in power play, middle overs, and depth. So not only one phase bowler, all phase bowler, and most importantly with Arjun sir, I think because of the match simulations we do and different batters we have, good quality batters, more about field sets, understanding what we have to bowl.
Mm.
Making the batter play the way we want them to play. So like before we bowl, we got to know that they're going to play this and we want to make them do this.
All right. And so you spoke both about batting, bowling, and how it has changed over time. And, it of course speaks because the runs that you're getting and the wickets that you're getting is sort of testament to that. In terms of, let's say, changing from a wicket keeper, which I think you wanted to be initially, to, let's say, an off spinner. And what is this thing about NICE and off spinners? Because I see a lot of off spinners sort of being developed here. Shreyanka, of course, the first one. You also are now trying to get into as an all-rounder who's an off spinner. So specifically, you like off spin, or it was Biju who was an off spinner who also wanted you to be an off spinner?
So before joining NICE itself, I had already shifted to off spin.
All right.
So the thing was, I was a keeper, and my uncle Viju, he thought that keeping is not a very appreciated role, or long term it might be a little challenging role to do because it doesn't have that I don't know how to explain that.
The need, the want,
Yeah,
the kind of impact.
Yeah, the kind of impact.
Right.
Like, it doesn't have that much impact.
Hmm.
So that's when he told you can turn into a off spinner where I can contribute both with the bat and ball, and be like a match winner with both of them.
Because you already had these role models like Alice Perry and
Yeah.
Ash Gardner and people who are all like impact players,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So I think that switch was pretty, needed at that point. And now that you are an off spinner batter, where do you see yourself? Like you still will have definitions, right? So when I was looking up, it was written as, okay, bowling all-rounder, or somewhere is batting all-rounder, because you'll still be labeled at some point. You'll play in NICE clubs, you'll play at Karnataka, you'll play at India. You'll be labeled differently, right? Depending on the need. How would you cope with it, or where do you want to be? Is it a batting all-rounder? Is it a bowling all-rounder?
So I would love to be a batting all-rounder. I always look at batting as my first skill and then bowling. But I would love to do whatever the team requires at a given situation, because end of the day we're playing for the team, and whatever the team requires is what I have to deliver. So I think I'd be fine with anything, but I would love to be a one-down or two-down batter who can bowl.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So Kash, you spoke about the change in technique that happened once you were in NICE. You also were an opening batter at one point of time, and then you became a middle order person. So according to me, these are very different places, right? Different techniques needed, power play, non-power play, hard hitting, etc., etc. How did you sort of decide to be that, and why?
So when I joined NICE, I had a word with Arjun sir, and he told that looking at the India team right now, if I had to make it to the team, I would probably be a better middle order batter, fitting in that position, because the top three are probably, almost settled for India.
For the next 10 years?
I don't have a say on that, but he felt India lacked middle order.
All right. Yeah. Agreed. We are seeing that in your analysis also. It is sort of coming through that the middle order is sort of lacking power hitting that is needed for T20.
Yeah. So that one thing he had told, that India is actually lacking a really good middle order bat. So he felt I could be that person, because I have the match awareness or versatility to bat at any given situation. I can probably even walk in at the power play and bat.
Right.
Because you never know, 2 wickets might fall early, and I might as well walk in the 15th over and I can still bat. So that's one thing that he told, that I can probably create a more impact being a middle order batter, because it's a really hard thing to do. It's one of the toughest jobs to, have less balls, not settle in, and to actually score a lot of runs. So he felt I could fit in that position.
Right. So you wanted to take the hard job on, in a way, to then say that I want to sort of contribute for India in the place where we need the most right now. And I think that's a great place to be. Where do you think you would want to walk in? The number, wickets down. What's that sweet spot for you?
I'm ready to walk in any given situation, but I would love to walk in, the 10th or 11th over where I have a good 10-15 balls to get in and then go hard at it and, go hard at it for the last 5 overs.
And wickets?
2 wickets down.
2 wickets down. So you want to be like pushed up because now the need of the hour is to hit.
Yeah.
Kash, so you have been a captain in your under 15 team.
Yeah.
You have been captaining a lot of club matches for NICE. And you're pretty young still.
Yeah.
How does that lend on to being a leader? Being a young person, lending on to being a leader, you need to be level-headed, you have to take a lot of decisions, you have to be responsible for others. Does that make you feel that leadership is something that you enjoy, or how did that whole thing start?
So I think I always enjoyed the extra burden on my shoulders or that responsibility. I always, liked that challenge or that responsibility on me. And I think after joining NICE, Arjun sir had actually, seen those qualities in me, the leadership qualities, and he actually made me the captain. I captained NICE, I think, for almost 11, 12 tournaments, and even our club matches, I was the captain. So we have a lot of conversations. I had a lot of conversations with Arjun sir saying about tactical stuff. And I think most important thing for a captain is that you have to understand your players, understand their strengths, and understand what they do on a given day. Like if things are not going well, what is their mindset? So I think understanding your players is something really important. And if it comes to decisions, I think Arjun sir has always given me that, freedom to take those decisions. And it was like, if I made any change or decision on the ground, I could always come back and explain to him why I did that. And I think we had healthy conversations about it. It was never like, don't do this or don't do that. He gave me that, freedom to do whatever I feel was good in the ground.
Because generally in club levels, at this age level, the coach would generally sort of push through the agenda and the objective, and then you sort of just follow it and come back, right?
Yeah.
But here you're saying that no, you took calls on your own, that was
Yeah.
appreciated, and you learned from that as well, right?
Yeah, I think he believes that I've got to make decisions on my own, and if I do something wrong, only if I do it, I'm going to realize it. If someone keeps, stopping me from making that mistake, I'll never know what happens if I do that, right?
Lovely.
So I think that's one thing, and I think we trust each other a lot. So I trust whatever he says a lot, and whatever decisions I make, he also trusts that, and we have good conversations about it.
And what about sacrifices that you have to make? Like, let's say you're a captain, you need to make sacrifices sometimes. Like, for example, you need to, let's say, not give yourself the bowling at that time, even if you feel that you are the right bowler.
Yeah.
Sometimes you take that pressure and responsibility. Do you think that's how it works for you? Or you are like, no, I'm the right person right now and I need to bowl and I need to take the leadership. So which kind of leader are you?
So mostly depends on the situation, but I am more like a person, if the situation requires and I feel I'm the best bowler, I will go for it. I wouldn't, if it's a hard situation, I put myself first before giving it to anybody else. But as I said, it depends a lot on the situations. If I feel probably I need a leg spinner to bowl or a pacer to bowl, then I'll probably get them in. But or else if it is a situation where it's hard and we have to get a break or something like that, I'd always put myself first.
And what do you think is by far the hardest thing in captaincy or leadership? Something that you don't like or you like, but it's hard. I like it, but it's hard, Abhimanyu. I don't want this.
No, I like it pretty.
Is there something that is hard in captaincy? Like, I know we keep seeing Harmanpreet, we see Rohit Sharma, we see Shubman Gill, we see everyone, and we're like, oh, she's not doing right, he's not doing this right. From outside, everyone's sort of blaming the captain for a lot of things. So, where do you feel is that like a line where you're like, okay, I don't think I like these things and I like these things in leadership? Because, you can't like everything about something.
I think things become a little hard when your teammates stop supporting you.
All right.
I think it's not happened to me that much, but because everybody is really supportive, including the coaches. So,
Hmm.
but I think when your teammates or your coaches stop trusting you, I think it becomes very hard. I've not gone through that yet, but
All right.
yeah, whatever I've seen, I think that's really hard because you don't have the freedom to do what you want. You've always, even not thinking about cricket, you've got to think about so many things behind your head.
Hmm.
So I think that's a little hard, but except that, I think I enjoy a lot about it. And
So are you like a person who's cutthroat about captaincy in terms of I need to win the match, whatever comes, I'll make it, even if someone doesn't get to bowl, doesn't get to sort of, because at the end we still are humans, right? And
Yeah.
people will feel like, oh, I'm just playing the match,
Yeah.
not done anything. So does that go through your mind as a leader?
I think the first objective is to win,
Yeah.
irrespective of who is going to bowl or who is not going to bowl. I think opportunity will come. It's not like it's not going to come, but the first objective is to win. And I think if we play for the team, I don't think anybody will feel bad for not getting an opportunity. We're going to
All right.
always look to win.
So talking about leadership, Kash, Jemmy, who's the DC captain right now, also has mentored you from a young age. I mean, you're still pretty young.
Yeah.
So, like when I say young, I mean like I think at the age of 9, 10, you sort of met Jemmy at this youth cup of sorts, right?
Yeah, Nippon Cup.
Nippon Cup, and she started mentoring you. So how did that happen? What was the journey, and what has been the experience of working with Jemmy?
So I think I was very young. I was 9 or 10, and I think Shanta Rangaswamy is I think the one of the first Indian cricketers to play. She's the first captain, I think.
Okay,
And so she had actually pushed me to play that tournament. She had actually supported me,
all right.
and that's how I was part of that India Nippon Cup. And there I met Jemmy. I think I played 1 match or 2 matches.
So who were the other players? They were all senior people?
Yeah, all seniors.
All seniors. So you
Veda, Krishnamurthy,
Veda
Jemmy,
Krishnamurthy, okay.
Deepti, Radha,
All right, so
Aru.
senior
Yeah.
team, and you were one of the
Yeah.
9-year, 10-year-old people there.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think that's when I first met Jemmy, and I think she was pretty excited to see like a 9-year-old, 10-year-old part of this. And I think we started.
Jemmy being Jemmy.
Yeah. And she was very open. She was like a normal, it was like a friend to me.
Right.
Yeah, I think we started speaking little that time. And over the years, I think even in COVID, I used to call her, because I used to play cricket. If I had anything, any doubt or something, I used to always go to her, ask her, is this what I'm doing? Is it right or is it not? And then when she used to come to NCA, because this was it's in Bangalore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so whenever she used to come, we used to meet her. We used to spend a lot of time, she used to give us that time, 40, 50 minutes where I used to speak to her nicely whenever she comes in. Even when I have any tournaments and I want to speak to her, I think she's always given me that time. And it's always nice to have a person who's played, a higher level, because you know what they're going to face. You know how to be ready for that.
Right. She has
upcoming
gone
thing.
through a lot and she knows how to sort of navigate it.
Yeah.
I can pass on that to you.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest learning in these sessions that you have had, let's say, with Jimmy? Could be anything not cricket related, personal, that you have learned and it has helped you.
I think one thing that I really like about her is that, or what I've learned from her is that you've got to trust the process irrespective of the result, because there are going to be highs and lows. You can't always be on a high. But it's important that when you're in your lows, you got to back yourself and have that confidence in yourself.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Lovely. And what about others, like, Shreyanka is from this institute, academy. You have, I'm sure, mingled with her and experienced her feedback, or what's the journey with her in terms of learnings and how has she helped?
So I think I've almost been known of her 2.5 years since I've joined NICE.
Yeah.
So I think she also being an off spinner and me being an off spinner, I think I have got to learn a lot from Shreyanka, because one of probably the best off spinners in the country right now. So I
Right.
think
Unfortunately, she is
Yeah.
injured. But
Yeah.
the good news is that she is walking, guys. Sansani case, breaking news from Kashvi is that she is walking. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I've got to learn a lot about bowling and more about mindset also, because she's been through a lot, and the way she goes about things. And more than everything, I think she's been like an elder sister. She's always, mentored me, guided me. I think even when I got the India call up, I think she had called me, she had spoken to me saying, enjoy this feeling. It's going to be like, you get it only once, so enjoy it, live through the moment and all of that. So I think she's always been there.
Cass, you got the maiden India under 19 call I think that itself is enough a question.
Yeah.
Just take me through the process. How did you enjoy? What was the feeling when you got the news? And
How it is.
just experience.
So we finished our matches, and I think when I got the call, the list was out, and me, my uncle, and my parents, we were all traveling. We were all in the car going to Tirupati,
Wow.
and the list was out just then, and I think everybody was really overwhelmed with it because we worked hard for it over so many years, and to finally get that India call, I think it was really special to me. And more than everything, I think I was really excited to just wear the India
The
jersey.
jersey,
Yeah.
yes, the jersey.
Yeah.
Definitely get the jersey. This is a fake jersey, by the way, guys. She has the real one.
Yeah, so just wear the jersey and go out there, represent India and play. I think it's a really big thing, and I was personally really excited. I wanted to go out there, do well, and win games for the team, and I think it went really well.
Lovely. And how does the communication happen? So one is the list. Just take us through the process. How does it happen? The administrative part of someone messages you that hey, you got an India call. Do you?
No, I think
how does it happen?
for us, we didn't have any of that. It was directly the list was announced on the app or on the website, and that's how we get to know. We didn't get any call or anything as such.
Okay.
So directly from the website, and then we got the call for jersey sizes and all of that. Yeah.
And then you went to practice. That's when you got the jersey first time, or it came home?
No, so our jersey actually, because there was very less time, we couldn't get it during our practice sessions. We got it directly when we went for matches in Chennai.
Okay.
Yeah, so our practice sessions in Chennai, we had the jersey. In Bangalore, we did not have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got the jersey before the match, though.
Yeah,
You had the jersey.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be disappointing to play with
No.
some other jersey, right?
No.
Okay. And apart from that, you had this first tour. This time you played Sri Lanka, you played T20s, you played ODIs as well. You may not have scored a lot of runs. That is something that the scorecard will tell you, of course.
Yeah.
You got some wickets still, is what I saw, right? What was the overall experience of sort of going from domestic to, like, let's say, at an international level, team, coaching, management, like getting used to all of that? How was that?
I think it's quite different from domestic to international. Especially the coaching and the management is very different. They're more open towards stuff and all of that.
Okay.
And I think personally for me, I think Nushin ma'am had supported me a lot throughout this journey. I think she backed me a lot, even when things are not going well. She showed that trust in me. And personally, when I went there to play, I think it was more about enjoying the game more than, anything else about runs, wickets. It was enjoying and, trying to win games, contribute. Because sometimes, even if you don't get wickets, you build pressure, someone else might get wickets. So that's how our coaches look at it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that's something that's not shown on the scorecard, but
Exactly.
someone who's watching the game will
Absolutely.
probably-
That's why I was trying to understand, because the scorecard doesn't tell the story always. And
Yeah.
of course, it's your first sort of tour playing at that kind of level. How's the sort of difference in skills, mindset, overall quality of cricket from domestic? Is it a huge jump? Is it okay now we are all used to domestic at this stage, we are all okay, and it's not a big jump? How is the jump?
I think it's kind of a pretty big jump only
Okay.
because I think especially because of the way people approach the game in domestic and the way we approach the game in international is quite different. Because if we go to domestic and we're playing a T20, probably our coaches would say, first 6 overs you play aram, say new ball, it'll be swinging and all of that. But I think here it was most like power play is there. How can we utilize the power play?
Right.
So I think that's one change. And we probably look to score 120, 130 in domestic. And here our targets were 160, 170. If we can probably even touch 200.
Lovely.
So
Anything over and above this that you sort of learned? You were giving autographs, right? We saw that in that memory board section.
yeah.
How was that feeling when you went to the crowd? There was this crowd cheering for you, and you signed a bat. How was that?
So I think it was my first experience playing with a crowd. And I think we got almost 8,000, 10,000 people. And it was really loud and really, it was really cool
This
to...
was in Chennai?
Yeah, it was in Chennai for a T20s.
Right.
And I too wanted to, I imagine I just stopped one ball and everybody was screaming. So I just wanted to, dive around, take a stunner.
Lovely. Like,
Yeah.
you're getting excited.
Yeah, I'm
getting
getting
the
pumped up. Yeah.
You're getting the energy from the crowd directly to your body.
Yeah. But other than that, I think really I enjoyed the tour, and I think people actually coming and supporting us, watching India under 19 play, I think was a really nice.
Yeah,
thing.
under 19 women's, like, you know, under 19 women's, that too. I mean, which is something that we need to talk about also. This channel is all about women's cricket. So that's a great sign that we are seeing under 19 women's team being supported by 8 to 10,000 people. That's huge number.
Yeah.
That's a huge number, right? All right. Cash, you have now played India under 19. The progression logically is to now also play WPL, which is one of the biggest tournaments in the T20 sort of format for India women right now. What are your dreams around that? Are you practicing? Are you trying to get in, or is it early? What's your plan?
So I think I've been working towards it a lot, and I think we have an under 19 World Cup this year, and we have WPL also, I think, coming up next year around February. Yeah. So I think last 1-2 years we have been working about that only in NICE, and I'd also gone for some RCB camps. Arjun sir had taken me, so I think pretty much I am there. I mean, matter of few weeks here and there, some little more improvement, and I think I'm really excited, for the auction and all of that, but really hoping to be there part of the WPL next year.
But you want to play, you took RCB's name, so you want to like directly get slide into RCB?
Yeah, I'd love to be part of RCB. Like, I've grown up, cheering for that team. And even last 2 years, I think they've won almost 4 trophies. So I think would love to lift another trophy for RCB.
But you have been part of the Maharani auctions as well. You have led one of the sides as well. You know how the bidding happens, right? You are aware that even if a team wants to take you, it's not given that they will be able to take you, right? So even if RCB wants to take you, they may not, because someone may just bid on you. So what would you feel at that time? Are you okay going to another team and play?
Yeah. I just want to be part of the WPL setup, just play WPL, represent any franchisee and, actually, get that exposure, show my talent and all of that. But I know how auction dynamics work. Sometimes a name comes here and there, in the start or in the end, and things might
depending on where it comes, of course, it makes a lot of difference.
And how much budget they have left. So I think I just want to be part of the WPL, prove stuff, get a good exposure. I get to learn a lot, being with so many legends or goats of the game. So I think really looking forward to be
You also mentioned that you went to the RCB camps, and I think you also have bowled to Richa, Ellis and the likes. What was that experience like?
I think it was really wonderful. Got to learn a lot because the way they play, the way they look at the game is really different, right, than what domestic we do. So I think I got to learn a lot, adjustments here and there, probably varying my pace a lot and adjusting my fields depending on how they play. So I think was really
What do you learn in terms of batting? Like, you were bowling to them mostly.
Yeah.
But as a batter, what were you thinking? Like, oh, this is what they are playing right now at this ball. Were you also thinking as a batter at that time?
Yeah, I think the way they look at the game, like probably 1-2 balls out and someone would probably try to hit a 6, but there it's probably understanding what the bowler is trying to do and not just blindly go for a 6 or something, Understanding if they're trying to bowl and off, I probably can cut them for a boundary rather than probably playing a shot on the
Cross bat shot,
Yeah,
got it.
Probably be trying to pick their brains a little, understand how they go about their game. Because end of the day, it's about how you adapt to situations, right? If you only play to one situation, you probably wouldn't be a legend of the game.
Lovely.
And cricket is always mostly played against the conditions rather than the opponents. So I think
that's a great thing that you're saying, because I see a lot of people playing just their own game and not seeing what the situation is. I think it's across men's and women's, across senior and domestic, where we see that people feel that they are a certain kind of player and they need to play like that, come what may. But I think your brain is in the right place. Your shoulder is resting on a nice head, or your head is resting on a nice shoulder rather. What am I saying? But great level-headedness, Cash, and that's really good to hear. I will just end it on one last question, very different from what we have discussed. What are your thoughts on red ball and Test cricket? Lords matches going on. The first time women are playing at Lords. Day 1 is up. We saw some good cricket. What are your thoughts on Test match in general? We know that women don't play a lot of day matches as they grow up, unlike men who play a lot of day matches as they grow up. You guys play a lot of white ball, ODI matches. What are your thoughts? Anything that you like or you don't like about Test, or you want to play? No,
I think growing up, it's like a dream to actually represent India playing whites in a red ball. I think now the women's are actually doing it after playing in the home of cricket, Lords. So I think it would be a real privilege to actually play a test match for India, because I don't think women get that many number of test matches. I mean, even in the international level, very few test matches are played compared to T20s and ODIs. But personally, I think the test is the real cricket, and I feel I would love to represent India in the red
Do you
ball
think
format.
there would be like this conflict in your head where you're trying to become a T20 specialist, hard hitter, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, you get a test call up or you are like considering for test? How will that happen in your head? Do you think they are very different kind of sports, or you think that no, if a person is a good player, can play all formats?
I personally believe if someone's good, they can play all formats, because I feel more than anything about technique or anything, it's more about the mindset, because end of the day, if you're playing at that level, you probably have all the shots. It's only how you use them and choosing the right ball and when to use them. And I just think that T20 is a little more risk-taking thing, and Test is risk-free cricket, just instincts and not thinking too much. So, but I genuinely really love Test cricket and would love to play.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the end. Kash, thanks a lot for being with us. We enjoyed this whole series, and I hope you had some fun time.
Yeah.
We're gonna go and get her mic'd up and see what she can do with the bat. See you.